Hey guys, it's Laurel. This is not a reaction video. I am here to update you guys on what's been going on with my health, but I'm going to do a disclaimer now. I am okay. I don't want you to spend this video skipping through to find out if something is very seriously wrong with me. The good news is that I'm okay, and all of the issues, curable, for the most part. We're pretty sure, but it's been a long journey. I wanted to make this video so I didn't have to keep repeating it when I'm live streaming, because I know a lot of people wanted this update. So I'll tell you guys what I've been feeling, what I've been dealing with, how the trip went, what I experienced there, and what we learned. And maybe this will help some people, because I know some people have been experiencing symptoms like I have, but obviously I'm not a medical professional. If you are experiencing symptoms like this, consider getting checked out if you can afford to. I know that's an issue right now. What was I going through? What have I been dealing with? If I'm honest, the biggest issue I've been having has been loss or lack of memory, which is why it's all a little fuzzy for how long this has been going on. I think it's been happening for about 8 months to a year. I'm gonna try not to get emotional about this because am I wearing this inside out? Motherfucker. Motherfucker. Wow. Wow. Anyway, I thought I was possibly experiencing symptoms of long COVID. If you guys haven't heard about cases that have been happening, some people are having memory issues that is affecting their motor skills as well. For me, it manifested very slowly to the point that I didn't notice it was really happening until I kind of sat down with myself and was like, wait, do I remember this year much at all? And the truth was no, I didn't. It took me sitting down to journal one day and realizing that I did not remember a single thing I did that day, so I couldn't journal. And that scared the shit out of me. On top of that, ever since my last time getting COVID, I've been experiencing severe acid reflux. I've been sleeping on my couch for like a year because I've been needing to prop myself up when I sleep. When that was happening, sometimes I would have severe reactions that felt like allergic reactions to food that I've eaten my whole life. And it was never consistent. I had a list on my phone keeping track of all the things that I was having this allergic reaction to. Basically, it was like my throat would close, my heart and my chest would feel tight and pain for like hours. And the worst cases, I felt like I couldn't breathe or my heart was stopping. Now, part of me was like, it's anxiety, because my anxiety had been through the roof throughout this year, especially once I realized my memory had gotten really bad. When I was having the throat closing issue, I was scared to fall asleep because I thought, if I fall asleep, I'll just die. I'm not gonna wake up. On top of all this, my body was going numb randomly. A whole side of my body would go numb randomly. I felt so distant from friends because I was too scared to leave my house in fear of getting COVID again, because I thought that's what was killing me. Due to my memory issues, I was pushing people away because I didn't feel like I could have meaningful relationships when I couldn't remember things about people. I'm allowed to cry now because this has a happy ending, you know. But throughout the year, I've been a pretty bad friend, and I'm grateful for the people who've understood, and I feel horrible for the people that didn't and that I possibly hurt. My mental health started getting really bad after my birthday, and the world being at the state that it is didn't help. And then my memory made it feel like I couldn't hold strong friendship connections because I couldn't remember anything my friends were telling me about themselves, and it made me feel horrible. It made me feel like a waste. It made me feel like I wasn't meant to be here anymore. At the end of the day, everything was getting worse because the fear was compiling. Again, this has a happy ending, so I'm gonna try to stop crying. Recently, I spent some time with family who I'd been disconnected from for years, actually. And I broke down and I told them how I was feeling. And they said, you know what, you're gonna live a long, healthy life, so we're gonna figure out what the fuck is wrong with you. So my parents flew me out to where they live. I'm very blessed because even though I've been no contact with my mother, they still reached out their hands and did this for me. Damn. I really thought I could get through this. Hold on. Okay. Pull it together, bitch. Pull it together. They live in paradise, which was honestly just a plus about this trip. But I spent, how many days was I there? A little less than 10 days there. And every single day, except for maybe 2, I had doctor's appointments. So we'd wake up early in the morning. I'd go see a doctor, get some tests done. And then I'd get to hang out by a pool or by a beach, which was really nice. And the things I wanted to get checked up on, I wanted to figure out what the fuck was going on with my brain, what the fuck was going on with my body, why it felt like I was suddenly allergic to everything I ate. So we got there, and I am going to show you guys pretty pictures of the trip, by the way, after I explain the health stuff, so you guys don't have to wait about the health stuff. So pictures are coming. What did we do while I was there? My first morning there, I got my blood drawn and I got an EKG. I believe that's what it's called. Getting my blood drawn was super easy. I've done that a bunch of times before. I hate needles. It doesn't feel good. But, you know, as long as you can just keep talking to the nurse while they do it, it's pretty straightforward. But we did that to check on, like, my thyroid, and I don't know, what else do you get with blood work? I don't remember. See, I'm not a professional. I just told them what was wrong, and then they told me what I needed, you know? The EKG was to figure out what was going on with my heart. I had feared that maybe I was having some sort of heart murmur or some heart issue. I knew of some people who were having heart issues after having COVID. Oh, I didn't explain this. I've had COVID 5 times. I've always had a weak immune system, and I've just been really unlucky. I'm really careful. I wear masks constantly. The EKG was really traumatic. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know that I'd have to do it shirtless. I didn't know what it was. And there was just a lot of people in the room kind of putting their hands all over my body to do the thing. And yeah, I wish I had known properly about what I was getting into, but I was scared to ask questions ahead of time because I was scared I'd chicken out. But it was really fast. It was a little traumatic, but it was really quick. And then it was over. We got our tests back the next day. And the next day we went to see an internist. I believe that's what he's called. He also understands the brain and the heart, but he wanted to just have a full conversation with me to just figure out what I was going through. And so I told him everything. I told him about the memory stuff. I told him about my vocal cord injury that happened years ago, just in case that had to do with why my throat was closing up. I told him about my worry with my heart, my body going numb. I told him about all of this. And he said to me straight up, he's like, I think that the memory and the throat stuff are separate. And he asked me how the memory stuff was affecting my motor skills. And I told him, I was like, if I'm honest, I didn't know that was how memory can affect your body. And I was like, I don't think it's affected my motor skills. He's like, is there ever times where when you're talking, the words just don't connect? And I was like, oh yeah, but I've had that my whole life. And he's like, okay, so it's not that. And so he said to me straight up, he's like, I think the memory issue is something more organic. If it was long COVID or a tumor, I'd be having like motor skill issues probably, or severe migraines, or, you know, there was a lot of things that he didn't think I was dealing with. So to figure that out, he wanted me to get an MRI. And for my throat thing, he was worried it was some sort of gastrointestinal issue or severe acid reflux, which kind of can go hand in hand as far as I understand. So he wanted me to get an endoscopy for that. The endoscopy, we had to schedule a few days later, but we were able to get an MRI the next day. So he shook his hand. I thanked him. I was so grateful because goddamn doctors do not listen and have real conversations, but this man listened to me. He waited patiently while I cried. It was just a very helpful conversation. As we were leaving his office that day, my parents are fast walkers, and the city that they live in is filled with holes. I'm not joking. Every sidewalk is broken. Everything is potholes. And my parents were just walking so fast. I'm shorter than my father by a whole, 2 feet. 3 feet, probably. I don't know. That's an exaggeration. Anyway, we were right next to each other when it happened. I fell into a hole. I fell into a hole, and now I'm in a boot. I fell into a goddamn hole, and my father didn't even notice. My dad is deaf in one ear, and of course it's the ear that was facing me. And so I'm calling out to him. He could have caught me. He didn't know. I'm calling out to him. He didn't hear. He just kept walking. My mom was behind me, so of course she saw. And she said later, she was like, Laurel tried to tough it out after. She tried to walk for a little bit on it after. And I was like, yeah, because I didn't realize how serious it was. And I was trying to catch up to Dad because he kept fucking walking. Anyway, no broken bones. Thank God. I've done this before and the bruising was way worse when I did this before. So I knew it wasn't that serious. However, I'm so tired of not being able to walk around normally. Oh my God. Anyway, I figured I'd include that in the story because that's why it's actually taken me longer to get this video out to you than I would have liked, because I have to walk up a bunch of stairs to get here. So I had to wait for the pain to not be so bad so I could walk up these stairs with y'all. The next day, I had my first MRI. God damn. They asked me if I was claustrophobic, and I was like, I don't think I'm claustrophobic. You are. Laurel, turns out, good, just so you know, good news. You're claustrophobic. I didn't know I was going to be in this tiny little thing for 40 minutes and you're not allowed to move. You're not allowed to move. And they told me that I was going to be wearing headphones. So I thought, oh, cool. Like I can listen to my K-pop while I'm in there and it's going to be fine. No, they meant earplugs. They gave me earplugs. I had showed up with my headphones and my music. What was I thinking? You can't have any metal in that machine. Anyways, there was just not a whole lot of full thoughts happening because I was so anxious about all of it in general. That was a wild situation. You get put in this big, like, tube. It's massive, but the part that you're in is tiny. You're not supposed to move. They prop your head with, like, a thing, and they stick stuff in it so that your head doesn't move. And then there's a lady that talks to you. And she's like, the next scan will be 1 minute. The next scan will be 3 minutes. The next scan will be 4 minutes. And it kept doing that until the last scan. And this bitch had the audacity to be like, the final scan is 10 minutes. And I had to sit still for 10 minutes straight. Longest 10 minutes of my life. I spent the whole time trying to think of songs that were long and trying to run them through in my head while I was stuck there for 10 minutes. We got through it. My God, horrible experience. I don't recommend it. It isn't that bad, truly, but if you're claustrophobic, it's not pleasant. We got the MRI scan back a day or two later, but obviously none of us can read brain scans, so we had to see the internist again, and he wanted to see us after I got the endoscopy, so that was later. I think I had a day off because I was originally supposed to see like a brain surgeon that day or something, and it got canceled because they decided to go on a trip. It's a whole thing. Anyway, and then the next doctor's visit was a day or two later. I don't really remember. It's all such a blur. The next visit was just for my eyes, just because we were there. Why not? I hadn't gotten my eyes checked in 4 or 5 years since before the pandemic. So I got a new prescription, waiting for those glasses to get here. But your girl, this might be one of the last videos you see with me wearing these glasses, except for the videos that have been filmed before I left. The endoscopy was an interesting experience. My only knowledge of endoscopies is the Wanties episodes. All of AT's got endoscopies. And so I knew that I was going to get put under, and I was so anxious the day before. The only other time I've been like put to sleep was for my wisdom teeth, and I panicked before that too. But an endoscopy, basically they put you to sleep so that they can like take a look inside your throat and all that. And they actually scraped the inside of my throat to do like biopsies. So my throat was super sore for like the rest of the trip. I went into the room. They were like, hey, Laurel, we're going to give you some anesthesia and we're going to have you count backwards to whatever. And then you'll fall asleep and then you'll be done. And this will all be like a big nap. And it was. I had no idea that I slept for like an hour and like 40 minutes. And they had to like kick me out. They brought my mom back and my mom was trying to wake me up. They told her that they needed the bed. So she's trying to wake me up. I guess I should just show you what happened next. Oh. If you wanna know how to
So you don't want the Subway sandwich? You want an Americano?
I literally don't remember any of that. Apparently I also FaceTimed Mara and was quoting Mingy. I woke up right away.
나오면 깬다니까 난.
So that was actually so painless. It's just like my throat felt a little raw for like a day or two. Once we had gotten all of that taken care of, we went to see an ENT. For those of you who don't know, I suffered a vocal cord injury in like, I can't remember if it was like it was between 2015 and 2017. So I'm a little fuzzy on those details. I don't fully remember. But it's the reason why I stopped doing theater full time, because I was doing show after show after show and then I had to take a really long break. This has been something that's been affecting my mental health ever since then. Before most of you guys knew me, my dream was to be on Broadway, to be a theater performer professionally. And I had to put that on hold because of a damn vocal cord injury, which was started, by the way, because of severe acid reflux, which is the reason I was on this trip to begin with. Life is really full circle, let me tell you. So we went to see an ENT because they scope your throat out. They look at your vocal cords, see what's going on there. And he found out a few things. First of all, horrible experience. When I used to go to the ENT before the pandemic, they'd stick a little camera up your nose and then go down. That was fine. That was easy. This guy numbed my throat and stuck a camera down my throat. Before all of that, he had asked me if I had a gag reflex, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty bad. But he had no idea. He had no idea. I'm not going to get into the gory details, but let me tell you, he had to try at least like 10 times. It was a nightmare. What a nightmare. So embarrassing. But this man was very sweet. I kept apologizing for it. And he'd be like, no, this is good. Like, it's good that you react this way because that's your body protecting you. Like, that's a good thing. Like, he was very sweet about it, but it was so embarrassing. I'm going to do a little trigger warning here because not everybody wants to see what I'm about to show you. Would you like to see my vocal cords? I'm going to explain to you guys what you're about to see so that those of you who don't want to see it don't have to, and then I'll show you my throat. When you talk or sing, your vocal cords close. You want your vocal cords to close because the sound that comes through your throat is the vocal cords being closed. If they open at all, if they stay open at all when they're supposed to be closing, that's dangerous, and that's what causes issues. And for me, when I had my vocal cord issues years ago, I had polyps on each side, which are like calluses. And so the vocal cords were like this when they would try to close because they were getting stopped from this like lump in between the two sides. So I couldn't sing or talk healthily because of these calluses. But what you're going to see in this video is that they're smooth, they're closing like normal, and they're healthy. Play the clip. Yeah. So that's the best news I have about this whole trip, is we found out that my vocal cords are finally healthy and normal again. Finally. I'm so excited to like work out my voice box again. I'm hoping to start seeing a vocal coach again and to work it up like the muscle that it used to be so that I can do singing professionally again. Fingers crossed. I sobbed for a long time, pretty much all day, happy tears, because that was truly something that I had felt had ruined my life. I felt the moment that I had that vocal cord injury, my life was over, which is so dramatic, I know. And honestly, it was a humbling experience that I probably needed. Sometimes bad things happen for a reason. The other thing about this video, we're gonna go back, I'm gonna show it again, but before I do, if you're gonna watch the little video on my throat, don't look at the things that are opening and closing. Look at the little red bump that's above it. That's not supposed to be super red and swollen. The ENT was like, yeah, so this is probably the gastrointestinal issue that you're having. And I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, this is not supposed to be swollen. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's been like that for a while, because it's felt like it's been like that for a while. And he's like, well, that would make sense if you've been having acid reflux for a while. So I don't fully understand all of it. I think this is supposed to be some sort of cartilage for my esophagus. I think that's what he said. It's like the Anyways, I don't know the technical terms. He really took his time to explain it all to me, but honestly, after he told me my vocal cords were healthy, I couldn't hear a thing. But I was very grateful. All of these doctors were very good at talking to me, and I've never experienced that, so I was very grateful. So he gave me the video so that I could show you guys, so that I could show my other doctor, and then I saw the internist. Okay, so we're back with the internist again. He takes a look at my brain scan. He looks at it for a really long time, which scared the shit out of me. I'm gonna say that. He sat there looking at it for a while, and then he kind of smiled at me and he was like, so the good news is it's not long COVID. The good news is it's not, I didn't explain this in the beginning. Another reason that the memory issues were scaring me is because dementia and Alzheimer's run in my family on my mom's side. My grandma has it, and I was scared that I might be having early signs of it really, really young. And he said, the other good news is that it's not early dementia or Alzheimer's. That was some of the best news I'd ever heard. But he did say to me, he was like, sometimes memory issues can manifest due to depression and loneliness. It's been no secret that this year's been a hard year for me mentally. I think it was the overthinking. I think I made it worse. But he also said, he's like, do you have attention deficit disorder? Do you struggle to pay attention? And I told him that when I saw specialists about my autism, he did say that he wanted to explore my possibility of having ADHD as well. The reason I didn't do it is it was going to be very expensive, and I was scared to get on ADHD meds. Still kind of am. But he kind of said to me that it's probably ADHD. Obviously, he can't diagnose me with it, but he was like, people with ADHD struggle with time blindness, which is clearly something that I've been dealing with. He kept saying that the memory issue is organic. That's how he kept wording it. The memory issue is organic. It's probably depression. It's probably a mental health issue. It could be ADHD related. And I am not medicated. So, so basically, I think that it's time to get officially medicated for ADHD, but it's not Alzheimer's. And it's not long COVID. I feel embarrassed, if I'm honest, because this has affected me so deeply for a year, and it's been hard to be myself on live streams. It's been hard to pump out content as much as I'd like to because I've just been dealing with this mostly on my own, and it's embarrassing that it's not a bigger issue and that I kind of just did it to myself by being anxious and scared. But on the bright side, it's not anything serious. So the memory stuff, debunked. I feel like since he's told me that, in general, my memory has gotten better. And maybe just having the reassurance was what I needed to stop digging the hole deeper. You know what I mean? So then after we debunked the memory stuff, he took a look at my endoscopy results, and it was instant. He went, as soon as he opened the test and was looking at it. And I was like, oh no, what? And he kind of looked at me and he read it some more and he's like, so we are going to send in your biopsy, because usually we'd send in a biopsy no matter what. But based on what we see, and I'm not going to show these guys because honestly, it's really gross. But I saw pictures of the inside of my esophagus. Was it my esophagus? God, I don't even know. I saw pictures of my insides, okay? And there were yellow splotches all over. And he said, you see these yellow splotches? And I was like, yeah, is that not normal? And he's like, no. He's like, it's not. He said, this kind of infection, usually your stomach looks healthy, but then you have these yellow splotches, which is why most doctors don't find it unless you get an endoscopy. Because I've been having gastro issues since the first time I had COVID in 2020. And I don't know if that's what caused it, if I'm honest, but this has definitely been something I've been dealing with for a really, really long time. And he said, you know, this is something that could be genetic, like your family could have this too. It's an infection, a gastrointestinal infection, which is absolutely curable with antibiotics. So I've been on antibiotics since leaving for the trip. I have a week and 2 days left of meds to take. I don't fully understand what the issue is, but I guess I have some sort of infection. My insides looked really icky, but it explains the throat closing issue. He even said that, you know, I've been thinking I have these lactate pills now. Where are they? I've been ripping at them. I have little lactate pills because I've been feeling like I developed lactose intolerance. And he said that I probably don't have lactose intolerance. It's probably this issue I've been having. And if I'm honest, ever since I've been on these meds, I haven't been having any issues eating, which is a huge deal because it's been months that I've only been able to eat like safe food, fast food, like burgers from Whataburger for like every meal because it was the only thing that wouldn't give me acid reflux and wouldn't close my throat. So it feels good to eat real food again. And I feel better. I feel so much healthier all of a sudden. I think a lot of it was placebo. I think I anxioused myself into a really scary hole. Everything else seems to be curable. I'm going to be on these antibiotics and then we're going to see if everything went away. And yeah, that's it. The memory issues, gonna try to get some ADHD medication. My last psychiatrist was not a vibe, so I'm not going to see her anymore. I need a new one. So we'll figure that out. That's a down the road thing. I feel so much relief, so much gratitude. I am so lucky that I was able to just kind of get this all done in one trip. I'm grateful to my parents for paying for it. So don't worry about you guys helping me pay for it. You don't need to. I didn't pay for it. I'm very grateful my parents took care of it. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't anything super serious. I just wanted you guys to know all of it and have a place to rewatch, re-listen. And I'm sorry that the details aren't super perfect because, like I said, I've been having memory issues. And also, when you're in it, it's hard to remember all the technical words and terms. He told me what kind of infection I have, but he has a really thick accent, and so I didn't understand it, and I felt rude to ask. So, but it's some sort of gastrointestinal it's an infection in my intestines, I think. The great thing about the trip was it caused me to unplug as well. I didn't have much internet connection. The only time I could really use the internet was in my hotel room, and we spent most of our days not in the hotel room. Finally used my Kindle. Guys, I've owned this Kindle for like 4 years, and I read 2 books. Who Am I? Now I'm reading Final Girls and Icebreakers. 2 very different books. One is smutty as hell and one is like horror. Anyways, I got to spend some time at the pool by the beach. I was trying to really just be present. I took pictures of my beautiful surroundings. It was nice to be forced to stop and smell the roses, to just look at my beautiful scenery around me and remember that I am going to live a long, healthy life. Thank God. This was just a little bright, shiny glimmer of hope that I needed. Like I said, my mental health has not been 100% because I've been scared that I was dying, and it just feels like night and day all of a sudden. I haven't felt like this since I escaped like an abusive situation where all of a sudden I feel like I'm no longer on autopilot. I'm awake. I'm here again. Hi, I'm here. I feel like life is something that's been happening to me, and now I want to happen to life again. It wasn't that I was taking it for granted. I was so scared of losing it that I just ignored it all. Friends, experiences, leaving my house. This felt like a really big near-death experience for me. And now I just want to live, which has, made me also extra aware of everything going on in the world too. I've already been posting about Palestine on my Twitters and Instagram, but I have spent a lot of this time feeling guilty that I haven't been doing enough. And once I got back from the trip and I've been bedridden for days, I spent a lot of that time researching how I could help. So the last thing I will leave you guys with is instead of subscribing to my Patreon today, maybe use that money to help a family relocate. Through Operation Olive Branch, I found a family that I wanted to adopt. I've been in contact with her recently. As of today, she officially was able to get internet and reach out and talk to me as well. But since I've been promoting her fund, she's had at least 300 new donations, and I'm so grateful that some of you guys have helped. Guys, like €5 goes just like a super long way. Everything is so expensive right now because the food is so rare and they have to pay money to relocate. And it's really, really fucking awful. We shouldn't live in a world where we have to beg to be deemed worthy of living. So anyway, Fatima and her family's GoFundMe will be in the description below if you'd like to help. I know that not all of us can do money right now. It's all tight for us right now. And if that's the case, there's also this wonderful site that I will also link below where you only have to click 2 buttons for free, and by clicking, money is being sent to help whatever cause you click. That could be Palestine, that could be children, that could be the women, that could be the refugees. You choose where you want that money to go, where you want that donation to go, and it's free for you, and someone else is helping for you. So yeah, you can do that once a day. And as far as I'm aware, you can do it once on every device a day, because yesterday I did it on my laptop and my phone. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you got through this whole video, it actually means a lot to me that you care. I'm embarrassed, and I don't want to make this a big deal, because clearly it wasn't one. I'm grateful that's all it was. I hope to see you guys for the next video. It won't be so emotional. Hopefully. You know me. Y'all have a good day. See you guys on the YouTubes. Later, skaters. Bye.